Hey, what's up guys? Ripley here. Welcome to another episode of Pro Tactics. Last time we worked on a training routine for better aiming and reflex skills. This time we're going to go a little bit deeper and I'm going to teach you some proper techniques and give you some cheeky tips too. So let's get right into it. The first thing I'll talk about is crosshair placement. In the gameplay here you'll see me running around shooting at door jams in a particular area. This is initially what I did to learn where head height was. Also running T-Hunt and paying attention to where head height is as terrorists come running around corners. This is going to help you to be ready immediately when you're holding an angle or moving through a map. If you place your crosshairs at head height, you're going to have to make little to no adjustment to get that headshot. All you have to do is fire and compensate for recoil. The reason you always aim at head height is because most enemies will be standing. If they aren't standing, it's easier to pull down if they are crouched or prone rather than aim up. What I like to do is visualize enemies in my head standing in doorways or down halls and so on. Try to imagine where their head will be and keep your crosshairs at that level. Keep in mind if your target is closer, you're going to have to aim higher. If your target is further away, you will aim lower. It takes practice like anything else to learn where your crosshairs should be, but just know you always want them at standing head height no matter where you're aiming. The next thing we're going to cover is jiggle peeking. Some of you may know what this is already, but I think it's severely underused and underestimated by most players. It's going to keep you mobile and ready while using peeker's advantage. You should always use this if you aren't trying to quietly hold an angle. Make sure you keep your crosshairs at head height like we just learned. If you confirm someone is where you are peeking, then you should start firing before you come around the corner. This will give you an advantage because your bullets will be flying through the air the instant you come around the corner. No one can react to that. Something cheeky I like to do is when you find yourself in a jiggle peek battle, peeking back and forth, if you see them go back behind cover, go prone and hold the angle before they peek back again. This will catch them off guard and give you an advantage since you're holding your reticle at head height, and when they peek back they will have to aim down to shoot at you. Another technique is to go for a wide peek. The key to this is to make sure you don't stop firing as you move across to the opposite cover. Now let's talk about holding angles. I see a lot of people not utilizing angle holds properly. When you're holding an angle from a doorway or a corner, you want to make sure you step back as far as you can from the cover and hold the angle from there. As you can see here, the closer you are to the cover you peek from, the more of your body is visible. If you are further away from the cover, less of your body is visible. So always hold your angles from as far behind cover as you can. Another way to hold an angle, Kappa. I'm sure all of you have seen Serenity 17 talk about creating a pixel peek to hold an angle and then go for a wider peek when you see your target. This is a very effective peeking tactic and I will show you here how difficult it is to see someone using an angle like this. Notice here I'm hardly visible to my target. This means that I am going to see them first and be able to make an aggressive move before they can. It's not likely the target on the opposite end of the pixel peek will be able to react in time before getting killed. Something else I like to do when holding an angle is to go for the cheeky prone hold, just like I showed you during the jiggle peek battles earlier. This will throw them off as most people expect you to be standing. Moving on to hatches. I just want to show you some interesting things when you're holding angles on hatches. The rule of thumb is this: if you can see their head, they can see yours. When peeking hatches, you can definitely use this to your advantage. Select angles that will protect your head if they know you're there, because as we all know, it only takes one shot to the head to put you down. Another thing to mention is if you can get a height advantage and look down into a hatch, it's going to be much harder to see you from down below. As you can see here, I'm standing on this desk and looking down into the hatch at my teammate. Believe it or not, he can't see me without some real effort. Let me switch the angle to his perspective so you can see for yourself. Notice I can't see him on the desk at all. I would have to crouch or stand almost directly under the hatch to see him. By then he would for sure be able to get shots on me. I know this is just one hatch I am showing you and it's very situational, but the point is to show you the angles and how they work. Play around with this idea and use this knowledge to your advantage. Surely there are more to be found. Moving on to stairs, particularly these square stairs like on Hereford. When you're holding them you want to hold a tight angle, but stand as far back as you can. If you stand close, you will see each other at the same time. If you stand back, you will be able to see your target before they can see you, and you'll get the advantage. Notice how I see Valkyrie's thigh right here, but since I'm standing back, she can only see my toes. When coming down these type of stairs, you have to be extremely careful and either use some method to distract or throw them off, or just go an alternate route. because as we just demonstrated, they aren't safe if your opponent knows how to play them correctly. Here's an example of how to hold this angle on these stairs. Since I can see them first, that's going to give me more time than they have to react. The last thing I'll mention is you're going to run across angles being held against you that are unsafe to challenge. These are the angles you want to find for yourself, but if you're on the opposite end of them, make sure you realize it. Know when you're better off finding an alternate route. Be smart in your decisions and know when to back off and go a different way. Well, that's it for this episode of Pro Tactics. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe even learned something. Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. I really appreciate all of you viewing, and I'll see you guys on the next video.